All right, so we're going to talk a little about the evaluation report and cover sheet, or the I-3. But before we talk about that, I actually want to remind you that these webinars are designed to give you general guidance, and there are always going to be unique situations. We expect you to work together with your teams, talk with your LEA to make decisions that are in the best interest of kids. So just as a reminder, these are general tips for most of the forms that should apply in most situations, but there are going to be those unique ones, and we understand that. So, the cover sheet. One of the things that we want you to do is in your IEP meetings, make sure that you're connecting with the parent and asking them to look through this information to make sure that it's accurate. And it isn't unusual for us to find that the address that we have for the parent isn't quite right. So that's one of the things that you're going to want to do during the meeting. Transfer students, students that transfer into our district who have an existing IEP. For these students, we need to hold an IEP quickly. So I would say within a week or so on the outset, a meeting needs to be held. And you've got a couple of choices. You're going to be looking at the evaluation reports as well as the IEP, and the team is going to determine, are we going to keep this IEP as it stands and implement it? And if so, you just need to come, and I have notes for this, the I-3, the I-9, and the P2 are the three forms that you'd need to do, and then turn that in with the rest of the IEP, and making sure to leave that end date of the IEP as it stands in the existing IEP. Or the team may decide that they don't believe that this is the best course of action for the student and that they're going to rewrite the IEP, or that they need to go back and get more information through an evaluation to determine what the most appropriate placement is. And so if this is the case, you need to implement the IEP to the best of your ability until you're able to complete the rest of your work to write a new IEP. So you're going to want to do a thoughtful job, but a pretty quick job of getting that done. Make sure that you're documenting here that you reviewed and that you adopted it. When did you do that? So we've got some choices here in terms of the purpose of the meeting. LEAs, as you know, create their own cover sheets when we do evaluations, and so this first box, evaluation including determination of eligibility, is generally not going to be a box you need to check as a special education teacher. The second one, however, this annual or IEP, initial or annual IEP development, is going to be one that you're going to check for all initial or annual IEP meetings. IEP review and revision are going to be checked for meetings that occur between the annual meeting dates. So, during the middle of the year, you realize, we didn't set this goal high enough, and the student is already attaining this goal. Let's get together as a team and let's reset that goal. Or a student begins to have some behavior issues on the bus, and you decide that you're going to put some things in place. That would be a review and a revise. So when you come together for a review and a revise, you're going to change whatever forms are necessary, but your date is going to remain the same in terms of the termination date for that IEP. The next one, develop a statement of transition goals and services. So anytime we have a student who is currently 14 or older, or is going to turn 14 or older during the term of that IEP, you're going to need to check this box. You may also check this box for students of that age if you're doing a review and a revise meeting and you're going to be discussing transition. Placement. So, we believe that you're going to be talking about placement, or you need to be talking about placement in every meeting. So whether it's initial, annual, or review, revise, that's a question and a conversation that you need to have. So pretty much for all of those meetings, you're going to be checking the placement box. Manifestation determination. Manifestation determination is a process that we go through for students who are being considered for expulsion. And so students with special education needs have some special protections under the law, which require us to go through and hold a meeting and have a conversation about whether the behavior that got them in trouble is a manifestation of their disability or something else, just a really awful choice that they made. And so this is the process that we use to document. So that's the process we use to document that. This is where you would be checking it on the form. Right underneath that, the manifestation determination, you see determine setting for services during disciplinary change in placement. Again, you'd be checking this box during a manifestation determination. This isn't for regular changes in placement. This is for disciplinary changes in placement. Alternate assessment. This box should be checked for meetings when the team we'll be discussing whether the student will be taking alternative assessments or if it's a student that you know currently takes alternative assessments. And finally, other. This box is for IEP meetings that are held for purposes that aren't identified above. We also see this box used sometimes to kind of clarify the purpose. So if it's a review and a revised meeting nothing's coming to my head. If it's a parent wants to look, you want to look at an additional goal in an area, or a student made faster progress than you thought, and you're holding a review and a revise, you can use this box to clarify the purpose as well, and that's completely fine. Okay, so here, if the purpose of a meeting is IEP development, review, and a revision, this is asking, so what did you consider the results of? Kari and I both believe that for all of these cases, you really should be looking at, so what are the evaluation results that you have available to you? And so this box is going to, for the most part, be checked yes. Statewide assessments, if the student is at an age, or actually I should say at an age during the course of or term of the IEP where they would be taking a statewide assessment, you should be marking yes. Remember to plan ahead though and be thinking about the next year. And so if the student's IEP is in April, then you need to know what statewide assessments are given until that IEP terminates as to how you're going to respond to that question. District-wide assessments, this box is pretty much going to be marked yes for all of our students K-12. The only students that I'm thinking may not be taking district-wide assessments are those students who are in our 18 to 21-year-old program. Date of meeting, I believe that this populates automatically from the other information that's in OASIS, so you're not going to need to worry about that. Okay, so this next section documents who attended the IEP meeting, and it's really important that we are accurately representing who attended and participated in the IEP meeting. Please remember, and it's highlighted and bolded, this section is not to document who was invited. Okay, we have an invitation for that. This documents who actually attended the IEP. So if we have a team member who was invited but didn't attend the meeting, their name is going to show up here because they are on the invite, but you need to make sure that you delete them from that section. Just as a reminder, and I know you should all know this, but minimally, all IEP meetings require a special ed teacher, a regular ed teacher, and a parent. Now there is an exception to the parent rule. This should be really a rare situation, but if the team has made and documented 3 good faith attempts to contact and establish that, remember, mutually agreed upon time and place, but when we're unable to do so, the team still has an obligation to meet those timeline deadlines, and so you may go ahead and hold the meeting under those circumstances. This next section asks who were the folks that were invited to the meeting and didn't show up or weren't able to attend, and so you would document that here. If there's nobody, then you check none. Again, those 3 good faith attempts, remember that our efforts have to be documented, so we can't just say yeah we did it 3 times. You need to include the method and the date of your effort. Please note, it is not acceptable to contact the parent using one method for all of your attempts. So if you try to contact the parent with a phone that was disconnected, you can't use that same phone 3 times, or even if the phone was good, I think you need to use 2 or 3 different modes to try to get in contact with the parent. Also, it's not acceptable for your contacts to be in a brief time span, so you need to think ahead, plan ahead, start planning and establishing those contacts early with the parent, which honestly makes it easier for the parent. But so it's not acceptable for you to do 3 or a phone call, an email, and and a letter all in 1 day or in 2 days. You need to spread that out to give the parent a fair shot at getting the information and being able to come to the meeting. This next section, we document, was the child at the IEP meeting or were they not at the IEP meeting? If they were, you check yes. If not, obviously you check no. And how many minutes did the meeting last? So make sure that you're filling that in as well. There are a couple other key points that we wanted to draw your attention to, and they're really critical key points. Number 1, regular ed teachers are legally required, and it is part of their job, to be a member of the IEP team, and they must attend for the full duration of the IEP meeting. Not the first 50 minutes, not the first hour and 20 minutes, but the duration of the IEP meeting. If a teacher needs to leave the IEP meeting, you need to stop the meeting, and you need to reconvene at a time that's when everybody can be there. Now, this gets to be pretty inconvenient for parents, so it's also important that you plan ahead and make sure that that teacher has ample time. And it also, you got to keep the meetings moving as well. In addition to regular teachers, parents are critical team members, so please don't forget, go to great lengths to ensure that parents can not only attend the meeting, but that we're also creating an environment where they feel comfortable, and where they can ask questions, where they can be active participants and good team members as well. And finally, this is something that we haven't had to do a lot of, but something that we need to draw your attention to. If you have a parent who, due to their native language, would not be able to read or understand the IEP forms written in English, we are obligated as a district to have the documents translated into their native language. So if you believe this to be the case with one of your parents, make sure that you connect with your LEA so that we can figure out how we're going to have those documents translated. And note too, it might take a little time to do that. So again, this kind of comes to planning ahead and being prepared, and not asking the day or even the week before. So yeah, so that was the I-3.